Welcome, friends, to ULTDC, and Happy New Year. Today, we will have a talk on the Theosophical New Year, and at 12:05 p.m., we will continue our study of the Bhagavad Gita. The declaration of the ULT. The policy of this lodge is independent devotion to the cause of theosophy, without professing attachment to any theosophical organization. It is loyal to the great founders of the theosophical movement, but does not concern itself with dissensions or differences of individual opinion. The work it has on hand and the end it keeps in view are too absorbing and lofty to leave it the time or inclination to take part in side issues. That work and that end is the dissemination of the fundamental principles of the philosophy of theosophy and the exemplification in practice of those principles through a truer realization of the stuff, a profounder conviction of universal brotherhood. It holds that the unassailable basis for union among theosophists, wherever and however situated, is similarity of aim, purpose, and teaching, and therefore has neither constitution, bylaws, nor officers, the sole bond between its associates being that basis, and it aims to disseminate this idea among theosophists in the furtherance of unity. It regards as theosophists all who are engaged in the true service of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization, and it welcomes to its association all those who are in accord with its declared purposes and who desire to fit themselves by study and otherwise, to be better able to help and teach others. The true theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and all. Devotional reading from Light on the Path. Before the eyes can see, they must be incapable of tears. Before the ear can hear, it must have lost its sensitiveness. Before the voice can speak in the presence of the masters, it must have lost the power to wound. Before the soul can stand in the presence of the masters, its feet must be washed in the blood of the heart. Kill out ambition, kill out desire of life, kill out desire of comfort, work as those work who are ambitious, respect life as those who do desire it. Be happy as those who live for happiness. Seek in the heart the source of evil and expunge it. It lives fruitfully in the heart, devoted disciple, as well in the heart of the man of desire. Only the strong can kill it out. The weak must wait for its growth, its fruition, its death, and it is a plant that lives and increases throughout the ages. It flowers when the man has accumulated unto himself innumerable existences. He who will enter upon the path of power must tear this thing out of his heart. And then the heart will bleed, and the whole life of the man seem to be utterly dissolved. This ordeal must be endured. It may come at the first step of the perilous ladder, which leads to the path of life. It may not come until the last. But, O disciple, remember that it has to be endured, and fasten the energies of your soul upon the task. Live neither in the present nor the future, but in the eternal. This giant weed cannot flower there. This blot upon existence is wiped out by the very atmosphere of eternal thought. Kill out all sense of separateness. Kill out desire for sensation. Kill out the hunger for growth. Yet stand alone and isolated, because nothing that is embodied, nothing that is conscious of separation, nothing that is out of the eternal can aid you. Learn from sensation and observe it, because only so can you commence the science of self-knowledge and plant your foot on the first step of the ladder. Grow as the flower grows, unconsciously, but eagerly anxious to open its soul to the air. So must you press forward to open your soul to the eternal, but it must be the eternal that draws forth your strength and beauty, not desire of growth. For in one case you develop in the luxuriance of purity, and in the other you harden by the forcible passion for personal stature. Desire only that which is within you. Desire only that which is beyond you. Desire only that which is unattainable. For within you is the light of the world, the only light that can be shed upon the path. Fundamental propositions, starting at the top of P14 of the SD, Volume 1, we find three fundamentals that work together as one. They apply to nature's laws as presented throughout the secret doctrine. The first fundamental is on deity, the unity of all existence, the rootless root of all that was, that is, or ever shall be. It extends to beyond the range of human comprehension and can only ever be dwarfed by any human expression. It is benesse rather than being, and is thought of as the great breath, the one reality. It is the dynamic energy that might be linked to that small voice that wells up within every individual soul, that consciousness that should be our guide. Spirit matter, soul life embodied and unembodied, what people generally call God or deity is an aspect of life, the omnipresent principle which invisibly functions in the atoms as in the cosmos, and which abides as the self in the heart of every creature. Another aspect of life is law. People speak of the laws of God, the laws of nature. It would be more accurate to speak of God as law. God, life, self are not different from law, they are law. The spirit of the universe also surrounds and is within all. We eternal pilgrims have the opportunity to become gods or one with the absolute through sustained effort. We honor the gods as superior beings to emulate, but not as beings outside of ourselves. The second fundamental is on the law that brings out an analogy between the processes of nature in the cosmos and in the individual man, day and night, life and death, sleeping and waking, karma and reincarnation. Man's lower principles disintegrate in time, and nature uses them again with her various imprints from past uses to form new human principles. The same process takes place in disintegration and formation of worlds. There is the perpetual exchange of atoms, correlating and changing their combining equivalents like the perfect flower dying in order to grow into a perfect fruit. Man himself punishes and rewards based on his deeds. As above, so it is below. The third fundamental is on evolution. The whole order of nature is progressively marching toward a higher life in the cycle of incarnation, necessity. No spiritual Buddhi, divine soul, can have an independent, conscious existence before the spark from its essence has passed through every elemental norm and has acquired individuality, first by natural impulse up to the human stage, and then by self-induced and self-devised effort, checked by karma, from the mineral and plant to the animal and human, and up to the holiest archangel, Dinhan Buddha. Each entity must have won for itself the right of becoming divine through self-experience. The physical evolves gradually from the spiritual, mental, and psychic. Elementals are all future men. No one has ever reached an adeptship in one embodiment. Each man has within himself the spark of an adept and can evolve into an adept through self-induced and self-devised methods, aided by the masters of wisdom to the extent allowed by karma. And now have the talk for the new year.
Thank you very much. We are indeed fortunate to have the internet today because your tears, as well as other people who are spread around the world now, but we're together on the screen. So we're thankful for that. Natural science investigators have confirmed the theosophical doctrine of periodicity by accumulating vast amounts of evidence showing that events move in cycles. But science as a whole has cut itself off from fields of experience, begun the physical. Although forward-thinking scientists continue to push boundaries of mainstream science to acknowledge the foundation underlying the physical world. In recent years, forward-thinking scientists met with the Dalai Lama on this subject, trying to help science move in that direction. Two scientists cited in the Secret Doctrine believe that every thought displacing the particles of the brain and setting them in motion scatters them throughout the universe. They think that each particle of the existing matter must be a register of all that has happened. So the ancient doctrine transmitted to us by H.P. Blavatsky has begun, if ever so slowly, to acquire rights of citizenship in the speculations of the scientific world. Theosophy, on the other hand, has always begun with soul. As do virtually all of our holy days, modern New Year festivals have their roots in the pagans. The return of the sun at the beginning of the year brings revivifying influences to all the kingdoms of nature. These influences touch the inner life of all forms. They give a renewed impetus to expansion and growth. Everything in nature has its rhythmic, harmonious movement. The skillful work meticulously to law. What we do, experiences we have undertaken, we engage in all demand for its fruition upon some phase of the universal law of periodicity. For best results, the gardener must plant and harvest his crops according to the natural seasons of the year. Even efforts to improve the mind by study require the cooperative movement of cycles, just as truly as the casting of seeds in spring. Within the meaning of the word periodicity is that whatever the waters of life wash up to one's feet is but the commensurate return of what the individual has set out. To work constructively with the law, to align one's energies with the creative tides of nature, man must be able to calculate his position in relation to each cycle. Ignorance of the meaning and the times of the cycles leads to defeat. Theosophy teaches that the significant influences recasting conditions in the world begin with, number one, their human attitudes, especially those persistently maintained, with every year becomes a cyclic opportunity to make a new beginning. The Roman god Janus, number 2, he's the god of beginnings and the endings, is the presiding deity over the month of January. He is pictured as having two opposing faces. He watches the gate which opens the year. His old face represents the past, and the young face represents the future. With the key of garner knowledge, he opens the new year, and with his staff, he moves to higher altitudes. Similarly, we see that each human being who is striving and progressing is like Janus. The two faces of Janus represent our two natures, the higher and lower, as also the past and the future. That is, it portrays the present as the invisible plane separating its two faces, the present and past and the future. In this respect, the two represent the eternal now. Old Roman coins represents Janus bifrons on one side and a ship on the other. Have we not the right to see Janus as the prototype of Peter, the fisherman of the celestial ship, the janitor of paradise? As Janus presides over the four seasons of the year, Peter presides over the evangelist. In occultism, the potency and significance of numbers and numerals lie in their right application. If we have to propitiate a mysterious number at all, we have most decidedly to address Janus Peter in his relation to the one, the Son. Janus, the god of time, the double-faced God, has one face turned to the east, the other to the west, the past and the future. Shall we propitiate and pray to him? Why not? His statue has 12 altars at his feet, symbolizing the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 great gods, the 12 months of the solar year, and the 12 apostles of the Son Christ. Dominus was the title given to the Son by the ancients. The sun god, Sundays, sang the Roman Catholics on Christmas Day. The statue of Janus, January, carried engraved on his right hand the number 300, and on his left the number 65, the number of the days in the solar year. In one hand, a scepter, in the other, a key. What's his name? Janitor, the doorkeeper of the heavens, who opened the gates of the year at its beginning. This time of the year was celebrated by the ancients as the time of the birth of the sun, or the return of the sun in its northern course. In our talk on December, we wrote out the 21st of December began the winter solstice. During the period between then and Christmas and Easter is a time when the astral life of the earth is young and strong. There is a rising wave of spiritual and psychic renewal. So all that we desire has a greater impulsion than at some other time of the year. H.P. Blavatsky, number 3, noted that it is January the 4th that the Theosophists separate as in the New Year. That's kind of stabilizes things a little bit. Well, maybe I can do it now. Okay, H.P. Blavatsky noted that January 4th is New Year. January is under the sign of Capricornus, the notorious Makara of the Hindu mystics. January 4 was the day on which the Kumaras, or Manasaputras, lighted up Manas, making man a thinking being. For ages, the 4th of January has been sacred to Mercury, Buddha, and 12th Hermes. Thus, everything combined to make it a festival to be held by those who study ancient wisdom. Quotes from HPB. Number 4. Aphorism 8 on karma, given by Mr. Judge, states that the action of karma may be known by calculation from cause to effect. And this calculation is possible because the effect is wrapped up in and is not succeeded to the cause. Just as the karmic effect is inherited in the cause itself, so also is the cyclic manifestation of the universe. We have the seeds of future events inherent in the moment of birth of the universe. It helps to remember that cycles move out from the psychic energies generated by human thought. Since mind is the true plane of action, we are never really victims of pure chance. Human thought colors cycles, and human beings experience cycles. Every person who draws the breath of life impacts the mental and moral atmosphere of the world and helps to color the day for those about him. Those who do not help to elevate thoughts and lives of others must, of necessity, paralyze them by indifference or actively drag them down. As for cycles, there are individual and collective cycles, such as family or national cycles, but we only see the effects that give evidence of unexhausted causes. So the cycles may be characterized by the nature of the souls destined to fall through them. Every new year, man of the Janus-like being is reminded that the fight is still going on between the higher and the lower natures. We begin the new year with a hope, looking forward to pleasures and happiness. These hopes are likely to be frustrated. Hopes, fears, their memories, and anticipations keep the human consciousness in a non-integrated state. The most prominent aspect of life, which you can believe with certainty, is uncertainty. We cannot predict the future. It is good to remember, as Mr. Judge says on page 124 of Letters That Have Helped Me, an occultist is never fixed on any particular moderate plan, and that one must learn to take up an easy and fluid position. We can learn to embrace uncertainty while we make the best use of situations to understand and learn the meaning of life, the lesson that life is trying to teach us. Sri Krishna says, quote, "My devotee who is unexpected, pure, just, impartial, devoid of fear, and who has forsaken interest in the results of actions is dear unto me." We need to, number 6, focus on the present while doing our duty. Mr. Judge called duty the royal talisman. We are not to be attached to the results of our actions. The most important thing is to realize that the whole world exists and is sustained by the one, which is unchangeable and eternal, and this is our only true reality. While we're running after the illustration of the promise of the future, when we are that one in reality itself, most of us, especially in the West, don't really have difficulty understanding that. But so I'll say that one more time. Why are we running after the illusion of the promise of the future, when we are that one, a self in reality. We are that, and therefore we have all the knowledge and all the powers of creation, preservation, destruction, and regeneration. We are the creators of our own future, destinies, by our own choices, thoughts, and actions. Each moment of our life, this is happening. This attitude and approach to life will automatically take care of our future. So we need to worry about our future. Number 7, still back down here. Every moment of life, every new year is an opportunity to examine our thoughts, feelings, actions, and cost reactions in response to the past, from which emerges the perspective vision of the future. So every moment of our life becomes a cyclic opportunity to make a new beginning and to steer our life in a particular direction in harmony with all. As students of ULT, our retrospect begins with its purpose. That purpose is the study, application, and promulgation of theosophy as it was given to us who brought it. That we heard that in the Declaration when we read. To conserve that message in its purity will always be our earnest endeavor. Without recognition of the existence of masters of wisdom, there is no reason for the existence of such a body of knowledge. As for 2024, we remember our past resolutions and failures to keep them. The reason for such failures is that we do not understand our own nature. So we are not able to use the force and influence that lie within us. And we have difficulty in endeavoring to carry out resolutions of any kind. When the desire is intense, will comes into action. As for resolutions, number 8, next to that, next one there. We should make resolutions positive. The will do attitude makes a direct affirmation of will, while the other form of resolution puts us in a purely negative position. This one explains on page 310 of the friendly philosophy, 310 and 11. True goodness is a positive position. We must also persist in sustaining the resolution. Always behind will stands desire. The function of every one of man's bodily organs, like the beating of the heart, evolves with conscious effort. And at first, we were developing, we had to think about the beating of the heart, and we don't have to think about it anymore. It just happens. But the real and true will is known as a spiritual will, which flies like lightning and cuts all obstacles like a sharp sword. All the powers that exist or can exist are latent in the spiritual nature. We draw from it in degree, but in small degree, because most of us have our ideas fixed on physical existence. We were once conscious of our spiritual nature, but we, as we came down through the various planes of matter, we made a growth in intellectuality, reasoning from the premises to conclusions at the expense of spiritual insight. What is most necessary is a proper basis of thinking. We need to eject the false idea about
You may want to move computer to a different location because somewhere there is a border between two Wi-Fi systems.
Much better.
what is most necessary is a proper basis for thinking. We need to eject the false idea of our being weak, sinful creatures and the mental idol of an outside creator. We need to understand the purpose of life, to see that we are the product of many of our own prior lives, and to recognize an evolution of under law, a law both true and merciful, which operates everywhere. What promise then does the new year hold for us? Nothing, except what we have to create for ourselves. So long as we think and act in ignorance of the truth of our real self and of the law of our being, which is absolute justice and mercy, so long shall we be wandering in the desert of life, mistaking shadows for reality. There is a chance for us if we understand our own natures. We can resolve one thing, great thing, resolve to know, resolve to think right and do right, resolve to acquire some of the knowledge that always has existed. The knowledge of man as a spiritual being through all of its fluctuations in the realm of matter. As we rely more and more upon the self within, we begin to express and use the power which we already have, and that is far more than we imagine. So we must resolve to renew and recreate ourselves in the image of that higher, natural, and inherent impulse in human nature. Number 9. That thou art. Let us then, with Albert Tennyson, resolve to wring out the mean, the selfish, the narrow, the old, undesirable traits in ourselves, and ring in the nobler modes of life, the love of truth and right, and the love of the common good. Man's life is in his own hands. His fate is ordered by himself. Well, then, should 2024 not be a year of greater spiritual development? It depends on ourselves to make it so. This is an actual fact, not a religious sentiment. Let no one imagine that it is a mere fancy, the attaching of importance to the birth of the year. The earth passes through its definite phases and man with it. And as a day can be colored, so can a year. Every man or woman is endowed more or less with a magnetic personality, which, when helped by sincere and especially by an intense and indomitable will, is the most effective of magic levers placed by nature in human hands, good or evil. Let us then, Theosophists, use that will to send a sincere greeting and wish for good luck for the new year to every living creature under the sun. Let us try and feel especially kindly and forgiving to our foes and persecutors, honest or dishonest. Happy New Year, everyone. I'll open the floor to comment, questions.
Thanks, Herb, for an excellent talk. So, question, you mentioned that 4th of January is sacred to Mercury Buddha. Can you expand a bit on that?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear what you said.
So you had mentioned that January 4th is sacred to Mercury Buddha.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a bit?
January is sacred. Mercury is the planet associated with the messengers of the god. He's the messenger of the gods,
Hmm.
and that's I think the basis for that statement.
Okay.
But we have a little bit of all those planets within us.
Mhm.
If we look at the zodiac, which we are not familiar with in our education system, the only thing we see the zodiac associated with is fortune telling.
Mhm.
And that is what the experts, the wisdom of the ages and the masters and so forth, they can read all of what's going to happen by the zodiac and the stars. We can't do that. We've lost that ability. We need to get that back.
And our question, can you say again how it became 4th of January? How was it calculated?
Yeah, I'll say that again. I mean, get it right. I don't want to. HPV said it very well. And let me put it in there. January 4th. Should be able to pop it up.
I don't know. It may have something to do with the position of the Earth. It's actually closest to the sun. It's called like aphelion as opposed to perihelion. And even though it's cold in the northern hemisphere, the Earth is actually at its closest position to the sun in its orbit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends on the angle too and so forth. And this is affected in. But H.B. Blavatsky is noted is January the 4th that the authors select as their year. January is under the sign of Capricornus, the mysterious Makara of the Hindu mystics. January 4 was the day of the day which the Kumaras or Manasaputras lighted up Manas, many king man of thanking being. For ages, the 4th of January has been sacred to Mercury Buddha or 12th Hermes. Thus, everything combines to make it a festival to be held by those who study ancient wisdom. HPV.
Yeah, and I misspoke. I think the perihelion is January 3rd, 4th. But being closest to the sun, I think relates to what Herb is saying, the hierarchies. There's some symbolism connecting the light bringers and the lighting up of mind, Mahat, and the Makaras.
Yeah, she put it in technically correct. No question about that. That is it. And the sun is closest enough. If I understand what the comments about that. And January 3rd, 4th is third. Well, 3rd, 4th, I think, is in the writings. That's why the Orthodox believe it should be
Mhm.
January 4th, and we call that our New Year.
Mhm. I'm also looking at the Theosophical Wiki. It shows that January 4th was sacred to Mercury, Buddha, and to Hermes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's microwaving is messenger of God. So,
Yeah, these messengers. Mhm.
so
And the message, I guess, is like logos, light. I think the symbolism's all related. You know, Mahat, the light of mind, and so forth.
yeah,
Is
first, the step down, the logos first, second, third is what you referring to.
well, yeah, just in general, logos means the word, but also it has relation to light in the sense that the message, the word, the truth is a type of light, I guess.
Yeah, logos is, I think it's the sun, time is light, isn't it? Let's see, let's see what the loss of you.
Yeah, Hermes, or wasn't he the one who brought light to mankind, stole the fire, lit up the mind?
That's what we're
Or
saying.
do I have that wrong?
In words, yeah. Got a small print, I can try to read it, but, that's just part of the person who was better off than I am. Logos, we're trying to keep logos. How to find logos in, you don't understand, it's not even,
Logoson?
logos, L-O-G-O.
L-O-G-O-S. Oh, yeah. Logos?
Yeah,
Logos.
yeah,
Logos, the manifested deity with every nation and people, the outward expression or the effect of the cause which is ever concealed. Thus, speech is the logos of thought. Hence, it is aptly translated by the verbum and word in its metaphysical sense.
Mhm.
it pays to have good eyes. Thank you.
That was much clearer. Thank you.
When it was spoken well, it's good. Thank you for that. Back here. So.
Herbie, you mentioned that having the knowing our natures and having the right basis for thought helps. I guess you were saying in the talk that it orients us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about selfish in many different ways. We got to get away from the selfishness within us and be selfless. And that's when we graduate to thinking from the higher part about being, the higher, unbelievable honest, of us, the permanent part of us. That's what really all this relates to in this understanding. And you might be able to expand on that too. We have to treat everyone as our brother and sister. And realize that we are the most advanced being. Human man is the most advanced physical being on this earth. So what we do not only affects us, but all of our down, all of our nature and all life that we see around us. And we're affecting, directly affecting, this global warming, actions. So we don't have to think very hard to, see what, see that we need to think, to change our way of thinking. Because we all have a tendency to be selfish, and we'll probably that way to train us. That's our nature, to get away from that, and to get to act in accordance with our higher selves. This human thought called cycles. We can't do much about cycles. They come, but we can do a lot within them. It's an expression I've often heard. So we can color our cycles. We can make them bright or otherwise through our thinking and through our collective thinking. Just focus on the present and our duty at all times. If we're washing dishes, focus on the dishwashing and the importance of that task. Cooking for families, right on down the line. If we feel we're working, what are we doing for our employer, for our company, or whatever? Let's see what's downtown. We've got about 4 more minutes. Okay. Persistence of attitudes. That's important to not only think something right, but to continue thinking that. We have to, as theosophists, we don't just come to theosophists and have a discussion about it. We go out and try to live it every day. And to the extent that we do that and we're serious about it, then we become perfected, and everything around us is affected by our perfection. So we have a
Good practical advice.
What's that?
It's a lot of good practical advice that doesn't require you to obtain anything. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. That's right. We're going to call some colored quotes in a minute and go on to our next assignment, which is the afternoon session for here. So this is a great experience for us. Since we're all over the world today, we're in Maryland, we're in Virginia, here we're in up north, in the Great Lakes area. We're in Latvia. So we are all over the place this morning, yet we are together and that's wonderful.